Welcome back, everybody, to the GGBL. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving with your friends and family. Happy Black Friday, by the way. We've got some Black Friday deals happening here across the GGBL, by the way. You guys all voted up on these trades. We had 17 total votes come through. I'm happy to announce that every trade was able to be passed. Everyone had a 60% and above percentage of yes votes, which means that every trade was a majority rules vote and everything passed. We did have one, which was the Clayton Hall trade, which had 11 yeses, and I think that was 6 or 5 no's. That was about the lowest percentage yes total, but it did pass anyway because 64 is greater than 60. Go figure that. Now, how I do the trades across the GGBL, because I am user controlling every team. This is just to kind of show you guys for full transparency purposes, like how I'm doing it. I have to do it through player movement, because every time I actually go into the trade screen, like normally would in a franchise, it always says like, yeah, we're interested in making this deal, because it's all user controlled. Like, two people should be able to agree on the value that they're getting back, right? It says, yeah, we'll make this deal. So you hit submit, and then of course it says check your inbox. Well, you do that, but then there's nothing ever in your inbox. Like, we've agreed to the trade, check your inbox, and then there's nothing else for you to do. So I can't actually get the trades to process that way. So I have to do it through player movement. Up on your screen, just real quick, I do have a video here unlisted that you guys can go check out in full scope of the draft class. Remember, a lot of these guys towards the first round and second round even, those guys are going to be taken over with custom players. So I'm just kind of running through here pretty quickly, but there is an unlisted video. Upper right hand corner is the link to go get that video if you're interested in watching a slow scroll of all of the prospects here that are coming into the league. A lot of these guys are not going to be very relevant. Some of them might be someday, so it might be kind of good for you if you're really invested into the league. Myself, not so much. I more so care about the custom guys versus all these CPU generated players anyway. If these guys do come up and they become something, great, but I'm never going to remember if they were year 2, year 1 CPU prospects or something like that. So a couple of things here that we're going to check out. I just kind of want to get a gauge on how the guys that were traded away, how they're doing here. The swing had a lot of big moves. They had 3 moves to be exact. David Valentine, probably the best guy that's performing right now. He's a starting first baseman. He's now up to a 69, and he's moving that overall way up. Clayton Hall continues to hit here for Seattle. Of course, he was traded away from New Orleans, and he's a big-time bat for Seattle in the DH role. Now for Michigan, they've got Luigi Mazza, and right now they're kind of playing that 500 ball. They're 67 and 68, so they're not quite vaulting. They're 3-7 right now in their last 10, but the silver lining is, even though they're playing bad baseball right now, they're on a 1-game winning streak, and they're a 1.5 games back from the wild card. Good thing for the Coyotes, though. Remember, the Coyotes are kind of that bipolar team that we've seen all year long. They were really bad at the beginning of the year. They've scratched, scraped, and clawed all the way back here to get into this playoff running and this playoff mix. And I think the big trade here, Bobby Watts, coming over from the Philadelphia Flight, he's getting a lot of heavy progression with his offense, and he's really bringing it. 17 home runs right now. Satchel's got 32. Neptune's got 22. The rookie third baseman, you got Josh Adams here with 20. So this team, this offense is really starting to come along, and you can see this in the box scores here. A win over Wisconsin here very recently. 2 for 4, Bobby Watts. Let's go to the next win here. 3 for 5 with 2 ribbies. Bobby Watts. That's 2 straight games with a home run. Actually, 2 straight games with a home run right here. He's 3 for 5 again in the other win against Miami. This one, a loss, he didn't play. So you're kind of seeing maybe the formula for Colorado. He's got to play. The guy that they acquired, Bobby Watts from Philly, he's got to play. He's a good offensive player. Got to get him some more ABs. Got to get him into the games. Diego Jimenez coming over from Chicago. He was not getting any playing time out there. They wanted to ship him out. He's been playing pretty solidly. It's a good bat, good offensive weapon there for the Phoenix Firebirds. However, Phoenix has got some work to do. we're taking a look and getting a little update here as far as the AL standings go. The Cardinals are currently behind the Reapers. The Reapers pretty much have that thing locked up. You got the Firebirds here, 10 games below 500. That doesn't seem like they're going to make the postseason. Looking at the wild card standings here, there's 6 games back with about 14 games left to go. So that's not a lot of time, not a lot of opportunity for them. Actually, their elimination number is 14. The Mallards' elimination number is 20. So we got well over a month. Little mistake there, but over a month left to play. It's possible. It's possible that they could do it, but they're really going to have to make a push. You could say that for a lot of these teams that we're seeing some of the standings here for. The Monarchs are in first place there. The NL Central doesn't look like they're going to lose hold of that. You got the Knights and the Emeralds kind of duking it out there in the West. Only 3 games separate the Emeralds and the Knights. Some things could happen there, some shakeup. But the Maroons are a half game out. The Moonshots, very surprisingly, are a half game out. I don't know how long that's going to last, but we're going to kind of do a little more heavy simulating here and see just how all this is going to shake out. This is preparing for Friday night. So tonight, live stream tonight, or possibly just live stream on Saturday. It just depends how many games that we would potentially have to show. If it's like 3 games, it'll be a 3-hour stream. I'll do it on one night, basically. But we'll talk about that towards the end of the video here. Now, the Gauchos, I'm interested in kind of following along with specific teams in their calendars in these next couple of game sims. Just kind of getting tabs here to see how they're doing. But the Gauchos currently got a big winning streak here, and they're moving on up the boards. I like what I'm seeing here. They're really trying to push for that wild card spot. The Reapers, they've already clinched the AL Central. The Cardinals, they're currently in a really good spot as far as a wild card consideration goes. You got the Bandits and the Nuggets duking it out there for the AL West. Again, Cardinals, Bandits, Pizzazz, Revolution, Cyclones, Coyotes, Mallards. Look at how many teams are still involved in the AL wildcard spot. The Mallards are on the outside looking in, but they've got a lot of games left to go. So this is going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out. Colorado kind of in the same mix, right? They only got a couple weeks left, and towards the back end of the month, they just don't have a favorable schedule. And we'll take a look at that here in just a second. But 13-0 win over Washington, over the champs. That's really good showing right there. But you're at home. You got to win that series. You got to find a way. Your playoff lives are at stake. Plus, against Vegas, you got to find a way to win that series too. You're at home. And they dropped that series as well. So 2 straight series losses, 2-1. That doesn't help them in their standings. Luckily, they get a little help there with the Cardinals losing 2 games. But again, Bandits winning 2, Pizzazz winning 2, Revolution winning 1. Doesn't help for the Yotes at all. But they're 2.5 games back with 5 as their elimination number. They're not dead yet. Now for Michigan, they got a 4-game series at the very end of the year against Washington. That doesn't help them either. New York, 2-game series upcoming against the Swamp Monsters, and then they kind of get a little bit of a layoff there, a day off, and then 3 games set against the Hammers, which they should probably sweep. Maybe just go 2-1. That's probably what they need to do. Now, as far as the NL goes, you've got the Emeralds, the Maroons, the Gauchos. I think the Copperheads are pretty much done. Like, yeah, they're 3 games out, but 4 is their elimination number, so they really need a lot of help. And they got to win all those games. So that's a very, very tough ask for them. I think that they're toast. Colorado does get a W here over San Antonio. That's big for them. They inch a little bit closer. Vancouver beats Seattle, and LA loses to San Diego. So that helps Seattle, because what they're trying to do is they're actually trying to win the division. They just want that moniker. Like, they're going to make the postseason, but they really are hoping San Diego kind of makes a push. And it looks like San Diego is just on fire, man. They win this game on a walk-off. That's crazy. I love what San Diego's putting together this season. They've got a 4-game winning streak right now. Make it 5, count it. They won again. And as we simulated the entire day, we've got Washington beating New York. That helps Michigan, but Michigan dropped 1 to Philadelphia. You can't have that. San Antonio gets 1 back from Colorado. If you remember, in game number 1, Colorado beat them. Seattle will win. San Diego, again, gets that victory over LA, so that only helps Seattle. And look at San Diego wins again. they win again. They're on fire. It's a ridiculous performance right now from the Gauchos. Do we get a walk-off here, by the way? Seattle's going to get a victory. Nope, I can't see if they got a walk-off. Anyway, Michigan gets a W. Boston gets a win. You know, that doesn't really help Michigan, but really, if you're a Mallards fan right now, you're just really hoping that the teams that are ahead of you in that AL wildcard, at least somebody's losing at that point. You need some of those chips to fall. Gauchos are currently in the wild card spot. The Maroons are starting to lose some games here a little bit. They're 5-5 in their last 10. But Gauchos Emeralds look like they're going to be a lock here, unless the Maroons, of course, make a push. It's do or die for them at this point. AL East, you still got the Pizzazz involved. They're going to be involved until the very end, till the thick of it. Pizzazz, Bandits, Revolution, Cyclones, Coyotes, Mallards are still going, man. They're 2.5 games out of the wild card, but the elimination number is 2. So they need help, and they need to win games on the remaining schedule. Tough ask if you're Michigan, but they do help their cause. They beat Washington. Colorado will beat Vegas. They help their cause. OKC helps their cause. They beat Wisconsin. So as we simulate the entire day, let's get a reset on where we're at here with the standings. Gauchos are 3 games back from the division, the NL West. Pretty crazy. So now you got the Emeralds and the Knights tied for the division. So really they're not making up both of the wildcard spots. That's just a visual there to show, like, we don't know who's going to be the wildcard guy right there. But the Gauchos would end up being the 3rd team in there. Now you flip it over here to the AL. Look at how close that this is. 1 game separating each team. That's nuts. Michigan will get another win. They'll get another win over Washington. It seems like Washington's just like, we've got the division in the bag. We're resting our people. You know, whatever. That might come back to haunt them. Pittsburgh gets a win over New York. That doesn't help New York. This is getting nuts. Oklahoma City and San Antonio. That is a huge series. You got 2 teams that are jockeying back and forth in the AL West, and just the wild card in general. Like, look at where they're at. Bandits tied currently with the Cyclones. Whoever loses that series, you can't get swept. Basically, if you're gonna lose a series, you got to lose it 2-1. You can't get swept. Boston will beat Iowa, so that doesn't really help Colorado. That doesn't help Michigan. Those 2 teams that are towards the bottom of the AL wildcard, they got to just chase them. Seattle gets a victory. San Diego, excuse me, gets another victory. They've won 7 games in a row. They are 7-3 in their last 10. That pushes them into the 3rd wildcard spot. They're a lock. NL is done. We don't even have to worry about the NL anymore. Maroons have been eliminated. And depending on whatever happens with the NL West, with the Emeralds and the Knights, whoever's going to win that division, it's going to come down, looks like, to the last game, game 162. But now look at what we've got here. The Mallards are a game back. The Yotes are a game back. Cyclones, Bandits, Pizzazz, Revolution, they're all tied. You only got three positions for wild card. This is nuts. Pittsburgh gets a win over New York. Michigan, they got to go up against Chris Peterson. They beat him 4-3. 13 hits for the Mallards offense today. Peterson got smacked around. He gave up 8 hits in the game. No walks, not a lot of strikeouts. They just put the bat on the ball, made some things happen. And get this, Luigi Mazza didn't even play in the game. Think about that. Their star shortstop that they traded for, all these big assets, he didn't even play against one of the best pitchers in the game. And they still got a victory. OKC will beat San Antonio. That's huge, because that helps out Colorado in the time being. Because, of course, whoever's losing that series is just starting to fall and fall and fall off a cliff in that wild card ranking. Iowa beats Boston. That, again, helps Michigan. That helps Colorado. That could end up helping, again, whoever is losing that OKC and San Antonio matchup or series. So, big win there for Iowa, winning on a walk-off victory. That's a big one. Colorado with Satchel Michaels against Cheltenham. They're two aces, just duking it out. Vegas, of course, has the West on lockdown. Colorado's just trying to stay alive. So Michaels does a job. We're not going to simulate the entire day on the 28th. Just, again, resetting the board here, letting you see everything that's at stake, okay? Nuggets are in. Cardinals are in. Cyclones, Pizzazz, Coyotes, Revolution, Mallards, Bandits. We got 6 teams tied in the wild card for 2 spots. 2 spots. It's all going to come down to game 162, isn't it? Well, LA, we're going to simulate that. Seattle, we're going to simulate that just to kind of see where we're at with those 2 teams as far as the NL West is concerned. Who's going to win that division? I think that when we do the live stream, I think we're just going to end up simulating it. I don't know. Haven't determined it yet. It's just going to be another hour tacked on, or 2 hours tacked on if we decide to get those games played. But guys, that is where we're at. Pretty nuts, huh? 6 teams vying for 2 wildcard spots. That's where we're at right now. Here's your matchups. OKC, San Antonio. Losers probably done. They're probably out. New York gets a favorable matchup against Pittsburgh. However, Boston and Michigan, 2 teams that need wins. They draw probably the 2 toughest opponents in the American League. You got Washington as the champs, and Iowa, basically the pseudo-champs. They probably should have won the whole thing last year. They were the best team. They had the best record, so on and so forth. But that's why they get on the field. That's why they play the game. So just 2 tough matchups there for Michigan and Boston. Now, of course, you've got the LA and Seattle thing going on too. So that's 7 games total, including Colorado and Vegas as well. 7 games total. Basically, it's 7 hours of gameplay. If we do all 7 games, I gotta split it up into a 2-day live stream. I can't do 7 hours of a stream just watching CPU versus CPU. And I don't think you guys can do that either. So if we do all 7 games, let's split it up into 2 different days. But honestly, I want to know what you guys think about just simulating LA and Minnesota's game. Because LA's already up on Seattle by 1 game. So if LA wins, then Seattle has really nothing to play for. They're already in the postseason. There's nothing left to do. If LA loses, then we could show Seattle try to win their game against Wisconsin. If they do that, then they force a divisional tie. And then I think you have to go to game 163 to determine who's going to be the division winner. I think. And honestly, if all the wildcard teams lose, like theoretically that could happen. If all the wildcard teams lose in live stream, they're still all tied. You still got 6 teams tied for those 2 spots. How does that all break down? How does the tiebreaker work? You know, it's pretty crazy because we don't do a game 163 any longer to break, I think, wildcard ties. Divisional ties, I think you do one. But I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong on that. I know Major League Baseball changed their rules, and I know the show has changed it accordingly. But I haven't had the situation come up before, so I don't know how it's all going to break down. But either way, 1 live stream or 2, it's going to be fun over this weekend. Guys, I'm excited for it. Hope you guys are too. Leave a like if you like this thing. I will see you in the next one later on tonight or possibly tomorrow. You guys let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching, and peace.